So I said, okay, I just say, I'm never going to miss another memory. And it just snowballed into what is now Sober is the New Cool, having ambassadors around the world, women that actually just, and men that actually are just volunteers and help me help others. Because I am a one woman show. I'm not a
Yeah.
t-shirt company.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Molthan, and I'm your host of the M2 The Rock show, where we have inspirational stories from inspirational people. We got one today. My friend Kim Bellis, founder and owner of Sober, let y'all see this right here, is the new cool. Sober's the new cool. Kim Bellis, welcome to the show.
Oh my God. Thank you, Michael. I'm so honored to be here. I can't tell you.
Well, it's an honor to have you here and grateful that we get to do this today. And Sober is the new cool. What the heck is that? I've been seeing your stuff. By the way, before you start, everybody subscribe and click the like button. But also, we will have the description of all of Kim's social media handles in the description. Go follow this lady. You talking about just want to feel good, and her post on Instagram, Sober is the new cool. So inspiring and so good. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but what is Sober is the new cool?
Well, Sober is the New Cool started in 2013. My 13-year-old son, who was an avid football player, from one day to the next started getting seizures, grand mal seizures. And at the beginning, they thought, oh, it's concussions, football, that kind of thing. Take a break, everything will be okay. Well, needless to say, that was not the case. Unfortunately for him, he would be diagnosed with epilepsy for the rest of his life. That being said, the first year we had over 11 grand mal seizures, and our life went like upside down from being outside playing football 5 nights a week as a mother, not letting him ride his bike because I was so afraid. So naturally, as things progressed and we got him on medication and we thought, okay, here we go. We have to start living again. I said, Matt, you've got to get out. You've got to go see your friends. This just doesn't make sense. I'd bring him somewhere. He'd call me half an hour later and say, Mom, come home. Come and get me. I got to come home. So the third time I said, this is crazy. What's going on here? He said, I don't fit in, Mom. Everybody smokes pot. Everybody drinks. I said, oh, come on. That's crazy. You don't need alcohol to have fun. And as I said it, I had the biggest wine glass in my hand. And even to this day, 12 years ago, it still hits me like a Mack truck because I thought, what a hypocrite. So as a mom, I thought, okay, I'm going to stop drinking for 3 months. That's it. It was like, this is going to be like, prove him wrong, tell him that life can go on without liquor and he doesn't have to be one of the boys. Well, sure enough, 3 months came and went. And he said to me, Mom, now what are you going to do? Now you could be like everybody else. And I'm back. I said, no, okay, we'll do another 3 months. And at that point, I thought, wow, everywhere I went, people were saying to me, you don't have a problem. What are you doing this for? Just come here in the corner, have a drink with me. And I was like, I'm going to lie to my son? Forget it. And then I thought, I'm 52 at that time. I thought, if this is happening to me and I'm 52, how is my 14-year-old son going to be managing social environments, parties, and people like constantly on him saying, you can have fun, just try one, do this. So my sister created a logo, Sober is the New Cool. I don't even know. It just happened. It was on a kitchen island. It was supposed to be for my son because the stigma, even though he was not addicted, which I hate that word, he did not want anyone to know that he couldn't drink. He wanted to be like everyone else. And I thought, this is crazy. Why does somebody with a medical problem have to feel bad about not drinking? And me, as a mom, why do I have to explain everywhere I go why I don't drink? And the funny part was, after about 6 months, I said to him one day, I said, Matthew, I'm sorry you got sick, But because you getting sick, you gave me back my life. Because I realized then how much, in fact, I was drinking. I wasn't under a bridge or whatever people think is a drinking problem. It was just not healthy for me. I was drinking too much. I wasn't as positive. There were so many other things. And, I thought that liquid courage was the way for me to express myself, to tell people what I needed to say. And in fact, big, big mistake. So this just kind of, a Facebook page was created for him to give an outlet. So when his buddies came over, he'd say, my mom stopped drinking for me. You guys can't bring booze into the backpack. The backpack story there. And, from one day to the next, all of a sudden I started getting all these messages from young women at the beginning from the UK saying, how did you do it? What are you doing? What do you say when you go out? So I said, okay, I just say, I'm never going to miss another memory. And it just snowballed into what is now Sober is the New Cool, having ambassadors around the world, women that actually just, and men that actually are just volunteers and help me help others. Because I am a one-woman show, I'm not a t-shirt company. I'm just there, I guess, to be inspirational and to listen and let them know they have a safe place to fall.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. That was absolutely beautiful. And it really opens up some questions that I have, and great questions I think our viewers and listeners want to hear. You said something interesting, addicted, and you said, I hate that word and all that. Oh, tell me about that. Why is that?
Well, for me, I hate labels. And to me, I think that that's very judgmental saying that, because I've heard you say people are addicted to their phones. And I love it when I heard you saying it like that. I just felt whenever I heard the word addicted, it was people being judgmental of somebody else. And I felt, no, wrong. The booze, the drugs, whatever they're using, sex, drugs, whatever it is, that's just a band-aid to what's really the sadness inside. So please don't judge anybody.
Right. I like that. Well said. Well said. And, it's interesting also you say that, when we stop drinking, if we ever doubt that we had a problem with drinking, if I ever doubted I had a problem with drinking, when I would stop drinking and I would go out and I said I wasn't drinking and they say, well, why not? Okay. That just confirmation that I drank too much. Right. It's kind of like, they're not used to it. It's kind of like, wow, I guess I did drink a lot. And, and also I actually thought about this last night, and, the term, there's high bottom alcoholics, and then there's low bottom. And what that means is high bottom, when we hit our bottom, a high bottom alcoholic is we catch it in time and there's not a whole lot of carnage. You know what I mean? We haven't lost everything. We still have our family. We still have our jobs, and we appear to be still normal, but inside we're hurting. Okay, that's a high bottom. A low bottom is my story. My bottom was so low I can't be anonymous. Everybody knew, And there's two. And this is a beautiful interview because I would, if I have that permission, I would place you in a high bottom drunk, high bottom alcoholic.
Absolutely. And that's what I say to people. They keep saying, well, you're sober 12 years. You could have a glass of champagne. And I say to them, if I'm afraid to have one sip, there had to be a problem there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why am I so afraid? And I still get those moments where, I'm triggered, where when I feel insecure or whatever, that, oh, if only I had a drink. So that is a problem. That was a problem. And I used it to get through those moments of feeling less than.
Yeah, I can relate to that. When we have that moment of that my insides are not feeling like everybody's outsides, I see, it's like, I would think about alcohol or drugs. I wouldn't think about a pretzel. You know what I mean? And that's how powerful this chemical is. And um, so about you, why did you drink? I ask that question a lot to people, and because that question used to make me very mad, and it made me mad because I didn't know why, you know. But with your story, why did you drink?
I think when I went to school, I'm Canadian. I went to school in Fort Lauderdale. It was like the party girl syndrome. Have fun, go out, and dance, be not so shy. And honestly, looking back, I always felt I was not enough. I should have been a doctor. I should have been a lawyer. I should have been thinner. There was always a should have in that equation,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I think alcohol kind of took that away when I look back. It gave me like courage and it made me feel like I was accepted and, all those inhibitions go away. Where, life is hard. And, being able to talk to somebody, like I used to think, oh, I can talk to people when I'm drinking so much better. Wow. Now looking back, no, I didn't. So,
Right,
I'm a much better communicator today. And
right. I can't believe I told him I own the Kansas City Chiefs.
except, and not just that, I think that also for me, I was, people say you can't do it for someone else. I think it's wrong because I loved my son more than I loved myself at the time. And had that
Right,
not happened, I don't think I would be where I am today.
right. You know, before that, we drank, and I can relate. We drank because we wanted to feel like everybody around us looked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it gave us that false sense of ease and comfort. It's a lie, you know. Um, Prior to that, have you looked back at yourself on an inventory of why it took alcohol to lie to you to get out of that? What was it in your past that was there trauma? Was there anything there that you were trying to ease the pain and suffering that alcohol
No,
was doing that for you?
no. You know what? I don't
Yeah.
think so because I had a blessed life. I was lucky. We did have uh, someone in our family that had an alcohol problem, but that was kind of like I'm going to be 64 years old next month. So, when you look back,
Wow.
it's like 15, 16. That's a long time ago. Alcohol was accepted. Everybody drank too much. Everybody drank and drove. It was kind of, and, we lived a good life. So it was just kind of, that was part of the equation, I guess. It was acceptable. And so
Right.
for me, I think it was really a lack of believing that I was ever good enough. That's what I think the problem was.
Yeah. The problem lies within.
Yeah.
And the problem lies within. And I love this. And I was setting you up. And the reason why I was setting you up like that is because I've never interviewed someone with the highest bottom as you. You know what I mean? This is a first, and I think it's a great story. It shows a lot of hope, to catch it immediately. And I know you have a lot of people that work out. I totally applaud how you're helping women.
Yes.
And it's safe to say, we haven't talked about this, but it's safe to say, you probably have a lot of moms that reach out to you.
Yes. Yes.
And, my child is having problems with mental health or drugs and alcohol. Walk me through the counsel that you provide these moms.
Well, I do one thing with them because I feel that, sometimes I think the reason why I've been successful because I'm not their mom. And I think a lot of young people need someone else to confide in and someone to believe in and somebody to be non-judgmental. But the one thing I will tell mothers, the first thing I do, and I did this with both my kids. I got a board at the dollar store and I wrote I am on it. And every morning there was a positive word and every night there was a different word. Now, I had two boys, so I tried to get them to play the game. They didn't until I stopped writing affirmations on that board. But my whole thing was to try and rebuild their self esteem. especially for my son, Matthew. Um, Football was his life. He thought that was the only thing he was good at and that made him him. So we did a lot of counseling. We did a lot of psychologists. I will tell mothers, listen, it took me like 10 psychologists and psychiatrists before we found the right person. You cannot give up. You just can't. And you have to keep trying. Whether you go on a walk, whether you pick them up in the car, you have to just try to keep talking or find somebody that they can confide into, because I think, and making them feel, I think the most important is you are there. No matter what they've done, you're the one that's going to help them pick up the pieces. That's the way I think that, the kids today need to know that we are there. And there's, because when they get involved, I think, with these other groups of people, they feel part of a group and then they kind of think that that's where they belong. In fact, they've just taken all their insecurities and used it, to get them in there. So I think we've got to find a way to bring them back. And I think, I know there's tough love. I just keep thinking.
Hey, stop right there real quick. Stop right there. It's funny because that was my next question. When I say the word tough love, what's your response to that?
Well, I've tried that and I was not successful at all. I tried it with my sons. I've tried it with my sweet Natty that became the daughter I've never had. And in the end, it didn't work. So I felt that going back to being there and letting them come to me and cry or scream or whatever it is they needed to show them that I was not going to give up on them. I wasn't, no matter what. As long as we were going to do this until we got it right. I don't care how long it took.
So for the moms out there listening to this, that's beautiful. I mean, I just love that. And where do we draw the line between enabling and rescuing?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I think, like getting back to my sweet Natty, she's a young woman who came into my life 8 years ago, and she really was the daughter I never had. She became part of our family from London, England, and she lost her life this year. And, she was tired. And I think that, no matter what I would have done, I don't think the outcome would have changed. So that line, I did try that line of, I'm not going to talk to you until you get your treatment. I'm not going to talk to you until, and we used to speak every single day on WhatsApp, and we have a matching tattoo, and we were like so great together. And in the end, I couldn't save her. There was nothing, no matter if I had drawn that line and said, okay, I'm not talking to you again, I would have just lost those last moments with her that I had. So I don't know what the answer is, but for me, I maybe gave in, but at least I had another 6 months of speaking with her every day and having her in my life.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. With Kim Bellis, owner and founder of Sober is the New Cool, and I'm rocking for people who are listening to this, I'm rocking the t-shirt, Sober is the New Cool. SoberistheNewCool.com, is that right?
.ca.
.ca.
Yes.
Okay. SoberistheNewCool.ca. It's in the descriptions. Excuse me. My fiance Lee, she wanted me to share with you that just last night she woke up and just was having a hard time going back to sleep and had some anxiety and reached over the nightstand to grab something, and she grabbed the 2 hearts that you gave her, and she wanted me to tell you today, just holding that, and she actually watched a show with me last night about you, and she just held on to it, and she said she wanted me to share with you. It just, for some reason, made her feel good, made her feel safe.
And I started that a few years ago because, like that question of drawing the line in the sand, sometimes I didn't know what to say or what to do. So this little white heart became something that I could do when I met people for the first time. And I would just put it in their hand and I would say, "You're never alone." And that
Ah,
was it. That was it. That was, and if then they wanted to talk or whatever, we would do something. But to me, whenever I go anywhere, whether it's an airport, don't ask me why I give white hearts to people. It's not necessarily people just with that love lost someone or someone that has problems with drugs or alcohol. It's just a feeling I get. And I have these little white hearts wherever I go, and I just put them in someone's hand. And I really think that if I do that for them, they'll do something for somebody else.
oh, that's beautiful. Wow. Well, it worked. I mean, and it touched her. I mean, she literally went out of her way to make sure, um, to tell you that. Um, and that's exactly what they did for her. She didn't feel alone,
Yeah.
you know? Wow. And I didn't even know the story behind that. So I can't wait to tell her that.
And
Thank you for that. That's beautiful.
that's what it's all about. Nobody wants to feel like they're alone. They want to feel loved, seen, and heard, and that somebody cares about them somewhere, right?
Yeah. And when you give a heart away,
Yeah.
okay, how does it make you feel?
I have to tell you, I went to a homeless shelter just for their Christmas party last week, and when I become very, very emotional because when I see the look in their eyes over this tiny little white heart, I'll get one out so everyone could see what it looks
Yeah.
like. That they are so grateful and they are so thankful for this little white heart. And
Go
at
a
one
little
point,
more towards your face. Go a little more towards your
oh,
face. There you go, right there.
and I thought that it was too small at the beginning, and it's not because people can put it in their pocket, they could put it in their wallet, they could put it by their bedside. But I just like to put it right in the middle of the palm of their hand, and just close their hand, and that's it. And honestly, you'd think I just gave them the world. And people say, I don't know why it touched me so much. And I don't know either. It's just, there's something higher than me that made me come up with that. There's something much bigger than sober's the new cool and me to be at the right place at the right time, giving these little white hearts or inspiring someone or being there for someone when they need it. It has to be.
Well, it's now that I'm getting to know you on this interview, this is great. And I can relate to you a lot. You and I have a lot of, and Lee's the same way, similarities is that in my active addiction, okay, I wasn't a bad person. I was just a sick person.
Yeah.
And my whole life, um, my biggest character defect was serving, pleasing others.
Yes.
And I didn't realize it that I kept doing it because it was making me feel good. I mean, it was making me feel good. And I like that feeling. And as I'm serving and helping people while drinking or doing drugs, paying their tab, helping them out, and all this stuff, I'm doing all this stuff. It's that I'm getting some feel good,
Yeah.
right? Plus, I'm intoxicated. Um, and then that would go away. But I would serve and I didn't know that I had expectations. Okay. Getting spiritually fit and being sober and working a program in recovery, it's now an asset. It's a spiritual gift of yours. I totally feel and see it of mine, um, is helping others expecting nothing in return.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what you do. And I don't know you. I'm just getting to know you, but I see and feel that through some conversations we've had, your social media. It's real. And that's what's so great about it is helping others because it helps me,
Yeah.
you know?
And
And that's what it's all about.
how blessed am I that people actually think enough of me to share their hopes, their dreams, and their fears. And to me, that's like so huge. There's 8 billion people in the world. How did I get so lucky to meet my sweet Maddie? I mean, she'll live on with me till the day I die. So these are
Hmm.
these are moments that I would never have had, looking back.
Right. So what is your mission? What is Sober the New Cool? This empire you're starting. What's your mission? What's your daily schedule, and what does Kim Bellis do?
I get up. I have a lot of women in the UK, so I get up very early. I try. It's just funny. I get up. I open my phone. Sometimes I'll get up at 4 in the morning. Don't ask why. When Natty was alive, I would always get up whenever she would call.
Let me stop you for a second because I know people are asking, because I'm asking, who's Maddie?
Natty, her name was AKA Sober Badger. She was a wonderful 45-year-old woman who would talk about her addiction, her suicide attempts, she shared her life online, and she helped
Mm.
so many people get well. Unfortunately, it was too much for her with her trauma. But that's why I would get up early because of her, because there was 5 hours difference. So I would get up and, whatever it was she needed to start her day, I would answer my phone. And I guess that was 8 years ago. And it just kind of snowballed after that. If I woke up and for some reason I had to look at my phone, I did. And there was somebody that needed something. And, I get on my phone. I'd have a mother calling me from Africa, and I'd say, "Oh, I know someone in Africa, a young man that's sober. Maybe he can help your son." I put them together, and that's my day. And I just seem to get a lot of messages, and I just try to put um, the right people together, I guess.
Right.
Because I'm a little afraid these days with all these sober coaches and whatnot, because you're playing with people's lives. I always want people to be sure to get the right help all the time and by people that are trustworthy. So I think that if they can go and have a coffee or go for a walk or feel like they're not alone, there's somebody and it's remarkable because you know what? Whenever somebody asks me, I think, okay, wait a minute. No, I don't know anybody there. And it takes about a day or so. And through somebody that knows somebody, we find somebody. And it's remarkable. So I guess my mission is to help heal one heart at a time around the world. And
Oh,
that's what I try to do every day when I wake up. And, I just think I'm the lucky one.
that's beautiful. I mean, that recovery. Um, so are you a support group meeting attendee? Do you go to support group meetings?
Nope.
Wow. Because there's many roads to recovery,
Yes. Yes.
many roads to recovery. And um, what, how do you work a program every day? I mean, what do you do when you get in fear and you get anxious, and how do you handle those moments?
Well, I try to, quite honestly, I hold on to that little white heart quite often. I try to meditate. I'm not great at sitting still for any long period of time, but I try to exercise. I think by working and giving back, that's my biggest way to stay focused and true to me because like you, I was always somebody that loved to give.
Mm.
And I think before, when I was young, I would get very hurt and sad when people didn't reciprocate or do something, right? And I think, okay, so I'm not worthy of them doing something for me. It had nothing to do with that, but I didn't know that at the time. So
Right.
I guess for me right now, I think that as many things you can do, read books, listen to music, meditate, do AA, do as many things, meet as many people as you can in recovery. And honestly, I loved when you said the other day, listen to what they have to say and how they manage because everybody has a different story. And I think when I do a white party in New York once a year, and the women sit together, and it's like, oh, me too, me too, and just those two words, me too, everybody's shoulders just drop. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they did Xanax and vodka, or they did cocaine, or they drank 15 bottles of wine. It doesn't matter. It just everybody gets something that somebody says, and the bonds are there, and they have friendships that people they can rely on, which I think is important.
You're exactly right. And you've probably heard me say this before. My big mission is everyone's an addict.
Yes.
You know, everyone's an addict. And so what is addiction? You know, addiction is simply this. This is my translation, my definition of it is addiction is a person, place, thing, or a thought that has become my source, right? I'm seeking visible things to try to fix my invisible problems.
Yes.
That's what that is addiction. So with that said, we're all addicts,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Doesn't matter what we're using. What matters is do we want to change? You know, do we want to change and make that choice? You know, to do that. Are you speaking? Are you going around speaking?
Yes, I've started to do that just in the last year. So
Good.
that's interesting. I did a New York Fashion Week 2 years in a row, walked a runway to help well, they're trying to pass Daniel's Law in New York City, which is a law so that when there isn't a situation that not only the police arrive, but somebody that is a mental health specialist will arrive on the scene to defuse the situation before it gets out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I created an international recovery walk where I had 30 countries that walked on September 30th around the world with Sober is the New Cool and because my whole thing now is I'm trying to tell people we're all a little broken inside. We all are. And we
Yes.
all are recovering from something because so many people still have that stigma. Well, I'd love to come to the walk, but I don't want the neighbors to know that my husband started drinking again or my son. And you know what? They know. They already know, trust me. Like that's the funny part. It's you're not cheating, you're not fooling anyone. So I'm
No.
just trying any way and anything I can possibly do to change the words so that another person joins in and says, okay, me too. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I am recovering from something, or my daughter, or my son, or my cousin, and to open it because the minute you start talking about it, no matter where I go, it's unbelievable. Once I say, no, I don't drink, no alcohol at all, somebody sits beside me and goes, oh, how'd you do that? And then it just opens up the way for people to heal.
And you share your story, and it's amazing how God used your son
Yes.
to get you sober.
Yes.
And it raised the bottom for you that your story is so much different than a lot of
Yes.
people's story, which I really like because your story is very rare.
Yes.
Very rare. And for people who are just joining or watching this, we talked earlier about there's high bottom drunks and there's low bottom drunks. And you also talked about the bridge. You know, I realized today this is that the difference between the man under the bridge and me is only one thing, and that's the bridge.
Exactly.
That's it. And I love how you address stigma.
Yeah.
You know, we think of addiction, we think of drug addicts and alcoholics, and why is that? Well, because our behaviors are so radical, the consequences are so severe. Thank God for me, right? And we bother our parents, our loved ones, and it frustrates them. We bother the world because of our behaviors, and it frustrates them. So they label us and put us over here that we don't want to deal with them. The reason why we bother them is because they actually see their own behaviors live on stage, but they don't do drugs and alcohol to make the pain and suffering go away. It's power, work, sex, gambling, the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we remove the stigma is everyone's an addict.
And let's face it, nobody wakes up in the morning and wants to be, have mental health problems or become an addict. Nobody. Why is it
No.
somebody can do pot and have pot and smoke a few joints and never do it again, and somebody else gets hooked for life? I mean, there is, I've had a doctor where I spoke with her and she came on my live on Instagram and she said when she does brain, you know, uh, imaging, it shows the difference between an addict and a non-addict. The brain lights up like a Christmas tree. So come on,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. You know,
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
the
it
behind this.
it is. It's different, and but also in long-term recovery, it gets to normal.
Yes.
It gets to normal, and that's what's so amazing about that. Tell us about your show. I mean, your
Well,
lives.
you know what? Basically, all I started doing was doing these Instagram lives. Just
I've
have,
seen them. I like them.
yeah. And you know what? I find that people, whether I've been on a podcast or they come on the live, they tell their story and they say that they heal after because what they think they're going to talk about. I don't ask a lot of pre question, send a form and say, okay, are we talking about this, this, and that? I just like to go and make it very, organic and let it go where it will. And it's only 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. And if somebody, but most people somehow talk about some sort of trauma. And you know what? Somebody else hears that and they also feel that they're not alone. So that's why I love to share other people's stories, men, women. I have a grandmother that stopped drinking at 80 years old. And she got a t-shirt and she said, don't post my picture. I said, okay, because the t-shirts are really just, the money goes back to mental health or organizations or buying white hearts. It's like such not
Right,
a,
I get it. Believe me, I know. I
it's
know.
not, yeah, come on. There's no money being made here. So, but this woman called me on Christmas Eve a few months later and she said, my grandkids asked, I almost cry every time I tell this story. She said, my grandkids just got here and they want me to post my picture on Christmas Eve with my t-shirt because they said they got their grandmother back. And she'll be 4 years sober in February. Yeah. And she stopped drinking at 80 years old. So, you can't make that up. You can't, I tell the story. It was over 4 years ago, and I still get goosebumps every time I say it because you're never too young and you're never too old to find.
Would she want to come on the show?
I don't know. We could ask her.
That would be a great story.
Yeah. So,
80 years old makes the decision to stop drinking. That would be an absolute
and
classic.
she's not the only one. The more people I've met lately, I have a lot of mothers that, from 25 to 80, like there's just grandmothers and in between. The problem with these grandmothers, she was the rarest one because the others still feel they have to kind of not tell. They can't share their story because they're afraid of what their family or their friends are going to say. And I think that's sad because that's the biggest achievement you can possibly have in life is being sober and staying sober.
And it helps others.
Yes.
So when we don't tell anybody and we're afraid of what people think, but when I felt that way, my mentor told me that's pretty selfish.
Oh, see, I never thought of
You know
that.
what I mean? It's just pretty selfish. And so and that was many tries ago to try to get sober. But he was dead on right. It's we share our experience, strength, and hope, and that's how we remove these labels. We need more stories like yours. We need
Well,
more stories like your is it your mom or your grandmother?
no, a woman here in my city. It was just
Oh,
someone that,
gotcha.
yeah, someone that I met, randomly, and that's what I mean about being at the right place at the right time. It's just, incredible. And I was, I always say when somebody wants a t-shirt or a hoodie or whatever, sure, I'll send it, whatever. And if you want me to post a picture, I'll post a picture. If you don't, trust me, it's okay. It's all good. Everybody has to do them. And when she said, don't post my picture, I was good with that. So, but why did I look at my phone at 4:30 on a Christmas Eve when I had 30 people coming for dinner? I'll never know. And you see, that was
So this has already been posted. This was last year.
4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to see that picture. She'll send it to me.
I'll ask her if I could send it because it was on my story for 24 hours.
That's fine.
But
That's
I'll
fine.
ask her, and I'm sure
Yeah.
because she follows me to this day, and she tells me what she's doing, and it's amazing. I look at her, or I look at somebody that's 40 with two kids that gives up alcohol to have their family back and to have a great family. I think that's terrific. I think everybody's story matters so much, you know?
Right. Well, to land the show, and Kim Bellis, you're incredible. I mean, I could just listen to you all day long. I mean, it's just amazing. I love the feeling of the spirit that you give, the spirit of giving and serving. I'll be praying for you, to protect you, because the enemy doesn't want us serving,
No.
and so he works hard on us, because if he can take us out, he can take out a lot of people, right? And we have to remain strong and in self-care, take care of ourselves. For someone who's listening or watching this, that's struggling, that's hopeless, okay? And I love your story, because a lot of stories we hear and talk about, people will listen to it and go, golly, my story is not that bad yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I used to be one of those people, right? But to hear your story goes, wow, maybe I can do that.
Yes.
Because it will be, it will be. But for that one, it's hopeless right now and doesn't know how to stop drinking and wants to stop drinking and doing drugs. What's your suggestion?
I know it's hard to reach out, but if you can possibly reach out and just try for the next 20 minutes and then the next 20 minutes. And if you have one person in your life, just one. And if you don't, we'll find somebody. Send me a text. There's so many great people that, are ready to help. I see it every single day. And we are not judgmental. And we will be there. And we don't care how many times it takes. You know what? We'll pick you up and we'll put you back. And you deserve a great life. You really do, no matter what.
Absolutely perfect. I couldn't say it better myself. Kim, thank you so much. And, I always end the show this way. I have 3 words. It's got 8 letters and it's got one meaning. Do you know what that is? I love you. You're amazing. Keep doing everything you do, and that comes from Lee too. I will put Lee out there. You really touched her.
Well,
you really touched her.
You know what?
And
I'm honored.
Yeah. You touched her at the absolute perfect time. And I thank you for that.
Well,
I really do.
We can send those white hearts out. People send donations all the time, and they send me a little address with somebody's name, and I say it's from them if they wish or they don't. And somebody gets a white heart in the mail, and they'll know somebody's thinking about them. So, that's easy. It's an easy way to help somebody.
Beautiful. From all of us here at M2 The Rock, we ask that you subscribe to this, share it out, all these things I got to do. Also in the comments or message, what topics do you want to talk about? What do you want to hear about? What do you want to learn about? And if you would like to be a guest on the show, direct message us or email us at m2@m2therock.com. And then also reach out to Kim and go to her Instagram and follow her. I highly suggest that. Social media, I'm not on that much. I work our post, but as far as doing all this, but I always look at your stuff, and I highly support you. So from all of us here at M2 The Rock, you know what to do. You go make it a great day.
Oh.